Good morning. Today we are going to discuss about cell injury. Cell is one of the unit which is having a own ability to process and it will also forms the other organs and tissues in our body. Cell injury, it is a process of changes in internal and external environment of a cell due to the effect of variety of stresses by etiological agents on the cell. So there are different types of cell injuries like metabolic cell injury. It is an event which causes damage to a tissue or organ due to hypoxia. Chemical cell injury, whether it is endogenous or exogenous chemicals which causes damage to the cell. Free radical cell injury. Cell injury due to free radicals generated by reactive oxygen species. The infectious cell injury. It is direct release of cellular toxins or intracellular release of the infection into the cell. Physical cell injury. Agents such as heat or radiation can damage a cell. The response due to stress may vary and depends upon two variables. Type of cell and tissue involved in cell injury and factors pertaining to the injurious agent, that is extent and type of cell injury. There are various forms of cell responses to the cell injury as follows. Cellular adaptations, reversible cell injury, irreversible cell injury. When the normal cell get stressed, it will go on adopts some cell reactions, that is atrophy, hypertrophy, metaplasia, dysplasia. So when the normal cell get stressed, it will go some process of inflammation and healing, and it will goes to the when the healing of the cell is occurred, it will go to the normal cell. This process is reversible cell injury. Irreversible cell injury. In this, when the normal cell is get into stress, it won't be reversible, but it goes on apoptosis process, that is cell death. Now we are going to discuss about only adaptive disorders, that is adaptations which are occurred by the cell in the cell injury or stress. The adjustments of the cells in response to stresses may be for physiological needs or a pathologic adaptation. The adaptations occurs by the following process. Atrophy, the decreasing of cell size. Hypertrophy, it is increasing cell size. Hyperplasia, increasing the number. Metaplasia, changing the pathway of phenotypic differentiation of cells. Dysplasia, it is disbanded cells which will be preferred or accompanied with hyperplasia and metaplasia of the due to some stress or cell injury. Adaptive disorders. The mechanisms involved in adaptive cellular responses are cellular surface alterations in receptor binding, alterations in signal for protein synthesis, synthesis of new proteins by the target cells such as heat shock proteins. Atrophy. This is reduction of number and size of parenchymal cells of an organ. When it is normal, again it will go to the normal condition, that is known as atrophy. Physiological atrophy. So it is a normal process of aging in some tissues. Examples: thymus and lymphoid tissue atrophy with age, atrophy of gonads after menopause in women, atrophy of brain with aging, osteoporosis with reduction of bony trabecule due to aging in postmenopause women. Pathologic atrophy. Starvation atrophy. It is a stomach weakness, the perception of hunger due to this atrophy. Ischemic atrophy, diminution of the blood supply. So it is a lack of oxygen and blood supply to the particular cell. Diffuse atrophy. Atrophy of the pancreas in obstruction of pancreatic duct. Neuropathic atrophy. Interruption in blood supply leads to the wasting of muscles. Endocrine atrophy. Loss of endocrine regulatory mechanism which results in reduced metabolic activity of tissues. Pressure atrophy. Benign tumors may cause compression of this tissue due to the pressure. Idiopathic atrophy. It is not easy to recognize the cause of atrophy, so it is we call it as idiopathic atrophy. Best example is testicular atrophy. Hypertrophy. It is an increase of parenchymal cell size which are resulting in the enlargement of the cell or tissue without any changes in the number of cells. Physiological hypertrophy, a temporary increase in size of an organ or part. Example is enlarged size of the uterus in pregnancy. Pathologic hypertrophy, hypertrophy of cardiac muscle, which will producing left ventricular hypertrophy due to some stress or cell injury. Hypertrophy of smooth muscle, that is muscular arteries in hypertension. Hypertrophy of skeletal muscle, that is hypertrophied muscles in athletes and manual laborers. Compensatory hypertrophy, which occur in an organ when the contralateral organ is removed. Hyperplasia. It is an increase in the number of parenchymal cells which results in the enlargement of the organ or tissue. Physiological hyperplasia. Hormonal hyperplasia, compensatory hyperplasia. In pathological hyperplasia, this is due to excessive stimulation of hormones or growth factors. Examples is endometrial hyperplasia following estrogen excess and formation of skin warts from hyperplasia of epidermis due to human papilloma virus. Metaplasia. It is reversible change of one type of epithelial or mesenchymal adult cells into another type. It is broadly divided into two types, mainly the epithelial and mesenchymal metaplasia. The epithelial metaplasia, the change may be patchy or diffuse and results in replacement by strong but less well specialized epithelium. Depending upon the type of epithelium transferred, two types of epithelial metaplasia seen. One is squamous epithelial metaplasia, next is columnar epithelial metaplasia. Squamous metaplasia. It is more common. There are various types of specialized epitheliums are capable of undergoing squamous metaplasia due to some chronic irritation, whether it is chemical, mechanical, or infective. Common examples include in bronchus and gallbladder. Columnar metaplasia. There are few conditions in which there is a transformation to columnar epithelium. Best example is in intestinal metaplasia in healed chronic gastric ulcer and in cervical erosion. Mesenchymal metaplasia. It is less often when compared with squamous metaplasia. With transformation of one adult type of mesenchymal tissue to another. There are two types, which will be the osseous and cartilaginous mesenchymal metaplasia. Osseous metaplasia. This is formation of bone in fibrous tissue, cartilage and myxoid tissue. Examples: the cartilage of larynx and bronchi in elderly people. Cartilaginous metaplasia. It occurs in healing of fractures where there is undue mobility. Dysplasia. This is disordered cellular development. It is often preceded or accompanied with metaplasia and hyperplasia. So it will cause a atypical hyperplasia. It is characterized by cellular populations and cytological changes, various cells, which includes increased number of layers of epithelial cells, disorderly arrangement of cells from basal layer to the surface layer, loss of basal polarity, that is nucleus lying away from basement membrane, cellular and nuclear polymorphism, increased nucleocytoplasmic ratio, nuclear hyperchromatism, increased mitotic activity. Two common examples of dysplastic changes are uterine cervix and respiratory tract. Thank you.